Hi everyone and welcome back. Perhaps we think that we can fix this broken system. Maybe we can fix politics, fix the tax office, fix the banks, vote in some awesome new leader. Maybe they'll put everything back on course somehow. Perhaps we could look at getting Labor out. Maybe we could get the Liberals in, or vice versa. Or maybe One Nation, some other party. Maybe they can do something. And look, it's fair to think that, really. Look at our recent leaders. Dan Andrews, Jacinta Allen, Anthony Albanese. Are these people actually leaders? I personally don't know what they are, but you have to scratch your head wondering, how on earth has this happened? How is this even possible? We don't even have a leader of the opposition, really, that has any voice or anything valuable to say. It's just a big comedy show, but you don't walk out laughing at the end, you walk out in tears. Day in, day out, nothing changes for the better. What we get is more laws, more bills, more treaties, more media manipulation, more propaganda, more fighting and more division. Just as an example, the people voted recently in the voice referendum, pretty simple. They said no. The government turns around and says, yep, look, that's fine, but we're doing it anyway. Look, this is reality. The government spends $13 million here in Victoria to put out 40 machete bins that anyone could build for 400 grand, but they spend 13 million of our money on it. And there's only really one fringe politician sitting around talking about it on his Instagram page. Well, how does that work? What did this government actually think? Crims are on their way to someone past the police station on the way, see the bins and go, oh, hang on, maybe I feel a little bit obliged here to hand the machete in. Don't even get me started. Come on, guys. No one is that dumb. But maybe, just maybe, rather than giving this stupidity any oxygen, maybe we need to start trying to understand the system itself first. Now, the system is centralised. Every politician, I don't care which party, is working under a centralised system. And the truth is that many people are very happy with this current centralised system. In fact, many people actually love it. It was us who really created this system. So many of us actually rely on this system. We depend on it. We feel protected by it. So unless those people decide one day that they don't want to actually rely on it anymore, that they don't want to depend on it anymore, then the system isn't going to actually go anywhere. So what the centralised system does is it puts protections in for you. Government benefits, healthcare, employment protections, super guarantees for your future, right? Great, but it comes at a cost, right? And what's the cost? The cost is freedom. Super and wage laws, work cover, WorkSafe, all protection for the employee. And what's the cost? Well, it might be the employer's cost initially, but you are the one who ultimately pays for it. Unions, protection for trade workers. Look, the unions started to protect the worker from being ripped off, to make sure that they didn't on the job, that sort of stuff. And these days, they've become more of a government-backed organisation that appear to behave like criminals more than anything else, doing deals on projects, enforcing, using heavy-handed tactics, hoisting flags on sites, collecting fees, wearing red shoes and the cokey bum bags, painting on more tats, all to look tough and scary. Then you've got bank regulation, protection for your deposit, protection for your funds, government-backed insured accounts up to $250,000. Okay, but what cost does that come at? And it's all the protection that comes at a cost. So the centralised system is what it is. It was never actually meant to be fixed. It was designed to keep you dependent. It was designed to protect you, but it actually controls you. So Under the centralised system, are you really free? Can you ever be free? Well, I think you can. The question just becomes, what are you actually willing to sacrifice for your freedom? This is a big question. Governments, the education system and the media are all centralised entities. They tell us that change happens through elections, through policies, maybe through reforms. But history shows us that every reform that we've ever had just adds another layer of control. More red tape, more bureaucracy, more money out the door. Constitutions and laws are meant to actually protect our freedoms, yet over time they've just become tools to centralise the power. And today, everything around us is becoming more and more centralised. Now, the definition of the word centralised is to concentrate control of an activity or an organisation under a single authority. So everything tracked, everything monitored, from what you do online to where you shop to how much money that you have. Everything controlled under a single authority, just one single authority. That's what we're working towards. The terms New World Order and One World Government were once considered to be just wild conspiracy theories. Well, they're obviously not theories anymore, are they? This is why we've been seeing a push for things like digital ID. So digital ID is part of the centralised system. It's a centralised database where all of your personal data is stored, monitored, controlled. They do it in the name of to make it easier for you, to protect your data. And then centralised banks. Well, they're obviously centralised, aren't they? They're central banks. They're pushing hard for what? They're pushing hard for CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. CBDCs are their currency. It's their creation. It's currency that is completely controlled by the centralised banks. And that's all done, so they say, to stop scams, to stop fraud, to stop money laundering, to stop tax evasion, to protect you. But it comes at a horrible cost. So if we sit back and do nothing and just keep burying our heads in the sand and operating within this centralised system, anything we do have, whether it be in the bank, whether it be in superannuation, whether it be in some form of traditional finance investment, it'll eventually be converted into a central bank digital currency. Then it can be easily confiscated if you don't behave. It can be confiscated if they feel they need to protect the system, a lot easier than it was before. Did you think that you were going to have a choice to use a CBDC? To use a digital ID? No, because they're coming. Not if you're part of the centralised system, no. So whether we like it or not, these things are coming. My last video explains what happened in the year 1973 in Australia with the Royal Style and Titles Act. It changed the title of the crown from the Queen of the UK and of Australia to the Queen of Australia. Now, people argue that it was just a legislative, symbolic change, but it was actually a substantive change, small change that was made subtly without our consent. And people still think that voting for a new candidate or maybe getting in a new party might somehow fix it or undo it, but it won't. That move that they made in 1973 was the advancement of a centralised system that we now have seen evolve today. The centralised financial system relies on three things: debt, tax, and inflation. These are the three levers of control. Debt, you're a slave. Tax, you're a slave. Inflation, you are a slave. You cannot be free while your savings that you might have worked hard for are losing value every single day, while the banks keep issuing more debt, keep printing more money, out of thin air, which is devaluing your dollar, taxing you to oblivion. You cannot be free when every transaction that you make is monitored and checked. Remember this, the most powerful form of slavery is the one that people do not actually see. So the question becomes, is there any actual alternatives? Well, there is. If centralisation is the problem, and I believe it is, then decentralisation has to be the only solution. But decentralised environments would shock people to death initially, because all of those protections that you are used to are removed, and personal responsibility must take the wheel. Barter is decentralised. Small community networks can be decentralised completely, trading with each other, sharing with each other, helping each other. Great. But Bitcoin itself is the only actual currency on earth that is truly and utterly decentralised. It is the very opposite of a centralised system. It's the very opposite of a CBDC. It has no central authority to control it. It has no bank, no CEO, no government. No one can control it. No one can take it. No one can copy it. No one can inflate it. They can't print it. It allows me to transact directly with you, and no one needs to know why, who, or where. So if you've got a decentralised currency available to you right now, a real decentralised currency that you can actually transact with, then if you're a business owner, are you accepting it as payment in your business? If not, why not? You can accept payment any way you like. So if I came into your store and wanted to buy my coffee with Bitcoin, would you accept it? Can I do that? Or would you rather that I paid you with centralised fiat inflatable garbage? Stay with fiat, stay centralised. It's very simple. Why do you think government and media have been so hell-bent on demonising Bitcoin? Do you think it's because they care? Do you think it's because they want to protect you? Why does the bank freeze your account when you jump online and try and transfer some money to a Bitcoin exchange? That's because they want to protect you from scams, right? Well, obviously not, people. That's not the case. It's very straightforward as to why they do this. It's because if you take your money out of the centralised system will collapse. And look, gold and silver are obviously good. They're better than fiat money because you can hold it in your hot little hands and you can look at it and touch it and feel it. But I've got news for you. It's still centralised. Cash, money. A lot of people are like, keep cash. Look, nothing wrong with having a bit of cash around. But dollars, notes, papers and coins are all centralised. The cash in your pocket belongs to the centralised authorities. So if we don't like the system, why are we supporting it? Why aren't we doing something about it? See, Bitcoin isn't some kind of tech trend or a tech fad. It's the first true exit from the financial control, from that system control. And if people move value outside the state-run, system-run banking system, the system has to collapse under its own weight. So this video isn't about tax evasion or any of that sort of stuff. It's not about anarchy. It's about self-sovereignty. It's about an alternative to centralisation. No one needs to burn this system down. We just have to stop feeding it. We have to stop being a part of it, stop participating in it. And forget about money for a moment. What if wealth has nothing to do with dollars, but freedom of time instead, freedom of energy, freedom of thought? Now, I used to think that being wealthy had something to do with your bank balance or your address or your house or the car that you drive or, what events are you're attending and all that sort of stuff. Well, how wrong I was. Do you own your life, or are you working to feed this machine? What would life look like if we measured success by independence rather than income or the amount of possessions that we might have? You see, ultimately this all comes back to us. We are the ones who feed the system. We can't fix a rigged system, but we can walk away from it. We might not do it all at once, all straight away, but we can do it. It's going to take courage, it's going to take effort, but it can be done. Now, this channel doesn't necessarily have all of the answers to every question, but it's about awakening intelligent, grounded leadership. And when people actually begin to do that, a new system can form on its own. And that's what these videos are about. Awareness first, then leadership. Look, thanks again for watching, guys. I hope you got some value out of it. If you did find it useful, make sure you share it. Hit like and subscribe. I would love to see you in the next video.